Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram and Shreve here with a look at the action in today's session, where we did see a mixed day. The Nasdaq eking out a small gain in today's session, so finishing well off lows today, Ken.
Yeah, but it's almost like a mirror edition of yesterday's session, where yesterday the Nasdaq,
Groundhog Day.
paired a 2% intraday loss to just a very, very small loss yesterday, and index was down more than 2.1% today, and did exactly what it did yesterday. So that is positive. It tells you that there are some buyers around in this market. However, as we've talked about, we're in the kind of the summer doldrums, and volume has been very, very light in the Nasdaq and a lot of individual stocks. So, I mean, we'd like to get bullish about the market action the past 2 days, but you can see the Nasdaq is still on a downtrend and stuck below its 50-day moving average. So, still needs to prove itself more, but encouraged by the price action past two sessions.
Yeah, and today we're going to be taking a look at Apple, Costco, and BJ's. So those will be three good names to touch on. But let's dig in a little bit more into that action that we're seeing today for the major indexes. So the Nasdaq, we can also draw a little bit of a lower trend line here. And as of now, Ken, we are finding a bit of support there. So making higher lows. So even though we still have a lot of resistance levels to clear on the upside, short term, medium term, and long term levels, a lot that the market needs to prove, at least we are making some higher lows here.
Yeah, I mean the technical action is improving. Let's just leave it at that. And we had some of our healthcare stocks which have been leading the market under some pressure today. A lot of those rallied off lows. Still, the universe of buyable stocks or stocks with improving technicals is still relatively small. But you mentioned Apple, Costco, and BJ's that we'll get to in just a moment. They're showing good relative strength, but we'd like to see breadth improve, and certainly even though the Nasdaq is finding some support here based on that line that you drew, again it's still technically on a downtrend here, and really it's going to take a decisive move above the 50-day line for the Nasdaq to really get going here.
Right, and even though the Nasdaq did eke out a small gain today, we had the S&P 500 finishing down 0.3%, though well off of its lows too, and it did intraday undercut the levels that it saw from late June, early July, but was able to again rally a bit as the session wore on, and closing basically at the highs for the day, though a little bit lower.
Yeah, still challenged here, but again, it was sort of just a mirror session from yesterday. So you had a big intraday drop, and we like to see undercuts like this. That's good to point out that we did undercut those that recent lows. When you get undercuts like this, it does tend to shake sellers out of the market, and it does pave the way for potentially more buying demand. So we'll see if that plays out. But again, we had another very hot reading on wholesale prices after a very hot reading on consumer prices yesterday. So wholesale prices were up more than 11% year over year, and but interestingly, the odds for a 100 basis point hike later this month, which had increased quite a bit, have now fallen quite a bit after today. So
interesting.
We'll see how that plays out. I know we're going to take a quick look at the 10-year Treasury yield, because that tried to get back above its 50-day moving average for the second straight session, and got turned away again. So.
Yep, something we're going to continue to keep an eye on, and that Fed meeting does loom large in a couple of weeks from now as earnings season starts to heat up. So a lot of additional factors here. At the end of the day, Ken, for us, the primary factors that we are looking at with our analysis with anything is the price and volume trends, but you can't ignore the macro side either. You can't ignore earnings reports. You have to look at all of those factors together to inform your decision making.
Yeah, and there's certainly a lot of macro headwinds. We heard earlier this week from ServiceNow CEO Bill McDermott that talked about formidable macro headwinds for enterprise software providers like ServiceNow, and you can see that stock is really having a tough time. So people are kind of holding their breath to see what a lot of these technology companies are going to have to say later this month. Certainly, earnings season does seem like a formidable headwind for the market
Hmm.
among many. So, but again, just paying attention to price and volume and understanding that we're in a low volume period of time for the market. Two straight closes well off lows is a sign at least that there are some buyers out there. And
Hmm.
again, the market's ability to kind of shake off bad news, we saw it again today.
Hmm. And OCOIL, this is a look at light sweet crude oil here, Ken. And this is clearly showing that continued rotation out of oil and gas stocks and into names like, in the medical area,
Right.
for example, that we're seeing.
Yeah, so the destruction in commodity prices has been well documented, whether it's natural gas or gasoline. Crude oil obviously has come under a lot of pressure, pretty quick pullback after hitting a high of 123, 124. So it is interesting to see crude oil kind of test this long-term support level here, the 200-day moving average, and it could be a short-term floor for oil, but weak prices simply a demand issue if the economy is going to slow, and obviously there's been a big slowdown in China that's hurting demand. So maybe oil finds a bottom here pretty soon.
Yeah, we'll have to see. And I think that chart was just slightly delayed. USO is another proxy just to see the trends in oil here. So it's
Yep.
taking a pretty big hit intraday today, but closing off its lows. But it's no doubt. I mean, even if you look at some of the big players like ExxonMobil and Chevron, rather, I think that was the one that it tells a more telling picture, now below its 200-day line for the first time in many, many months. So, as you said, the destruction here is continuing.
Yeah, and we're going to hear from some oil companies next week in terms of earnings. So Halliburton is another one, HAL, which has just been decimated and looks a lot like Chevron, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
crushed below the 200-day moving average. So people expecting oil stocks to, yeah, well, oil's going to bottom here, and oil stocks will have their day in the sun again. Well, this is kind of questionable when you look at the destruction in Halliburton. When you get a decline of this magnitude with the volume that you see, it oftentimes can be a long road back
Yeah.
for a stock. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see. Oil trying to firm up at the 200-day moving average,
Mm-hmm.
and could be near a short-term low here.
Yeah. All right. Great points there, Ken. Well, let's move on and chat about some other stocks here, like Apple, which has been rallying since finding at least a short term bottom in June. But Ken, that rally has come in light volume. So can we trust it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think this is a very interesting chart because when you look at large cap technology stocks, you see very few that have made an attempt to get back above their 50-day moving average, and not only that, but hold above the line. So Apple is still challenged here, trying to break out of a downtrend still below its 200-day moving average. So that'll be a key test. But I'm kind of liking the technical action here, despite the low volume gains. Again, we're in the summertime. It's not reasonable to expect volume to be huge when a stock starts to rally. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
encouraged that it is back above its 50-day moving average, and it's holding gains. You can see the weekly chart though; it's still challenged. That 40-week line, could be a resistance level.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll hear from Apple later this month. And Citigroup had an interesting note yesterday. They lowered Apple's price target. They maintained a buy rating. They lowered the price target just a little bit. But they also talked about 5 reasons to own the stock and made pretty compelling arguments talking about, maybe another big share buyback program on the heels of a $80 billion share buyback in 2021. The likely launch of the iPhone 14 in September, despite a lot of supply chain challenges. So, and then the dividend. Apple's could see a dividend hike later this month. So, it's encouraging that Apple is back above the 50-day.
Yeah, it is. It'd be great to see continued progress. And like you said, see it even getting back above the 40-week line. And if it can tighten up from there, then I think, it's really will have started to prove itself. But it does have an RS line blue dot, even though it's 19% off of its highs.
Yeah,
So we'll have to see if that upward momentum can continue. Maybe earnings will be the catalyst for that.
yeah. So at this point, again, even though it's showing encouraging price action, and with the low volume, it's probably best to just let this one sort itself out a little while
Mm-hmm.
longer. And really, if it can move decisively above the 200-day moving average over time, that
Mm-hmm.
could be a good buy signal.
All right. And let's also take a look at Costco, another big name out there in the market, approaching its 40-week line. Also has an RS line blue dot here, Ken. I'm going to flip on over to the daily chart for us. It ended up with a pretty strong percentage move today, up 4%. This did have volume behind the gain today, as did another price gain in the last couple of weeks. So this will be a key test here. Can it get above this 200-day line? Is it going to hit resistance here? It looks like we're not going to get earnings until later in September. So plenty of time here if it can set up above the 200-day line to get that profit cushion before earnings are due, potentially. Even though there are group peers, if they report before Costco, it could move in sympathy. We've definitely seen that in the retail area.
Yeah, so we heard from Costco recently, earlier this month. I think it was last week. They reported, pretty strong June sales. Overall sales were up 20%. Same store sales up 18% overall. So it seems like every month Costco is delivering that double digit growth, which is impressive. So you did have a pretty sharp pullback after the stock topped the 600 level, and that pullback did come with a lot of volume. So when you see a lot of volume to the downside as the stock corrects, it's good to see some volume as the stock rallies back. And like you said, we have seen some volume, but yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to see Costco get a little bit of resistance here if it's truly a strong stock and buyers are really in control here. It shouldn't have a problem getting above that 200-day line, but that story has not fully played out with Costco yet. Big percentage gain today and strong volume because Deutsche Bank made positive comments. They upgraded the stock to buy, and they gave it a good price target hike all the way up to 579, I think, which is quite a bit higher from where it closed today.
Yeah, and the CEO recently standing firm on that $1.50 hot dog combo. That inflation is not going to get you. I do make a Costco trip here and there. I've yet to have this famous or infamous hot dog combo. I guess I'll have to do that. Grab a hot dog, do some shopping.
Yeah, I mean,
I've
I've actually been a Costco member for quite some time, and I still have not tried one of their hot dogs. I think I might have gotten a piece of pizza once, which the pizza is apparently pretty good there too. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty well.
Chickens, though.
Oh man, yeah, for $5 you can't beat it.
Can't beat it. Can't beat it. All right. Well, last on our list, BJ's Wholesale Club. So a group peer here also having a strong day today. Didn't have the stronger volume behind the move, but was up almost 3%, getting back above that 70 level. Let's go to the weekly chart here because it looks like it's at a pretty key resistance area here, Ken, after basing for quite a while. And that relative strength line has really moved higher since that last earnings report.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the three charts that we've looked at so far today, you wouldn't think the market is struggling like it is, but BJ's is another stock showing relative strength here, a relative strength line pointing into new high ground. Did want to talk about BJ's though, because we see this a lot when a stock is coming up the right side and forming a good double bottom pattern. You had two distinctive legs down in this pattern. The second leg down undercut the first, and that's how you get the letter W shape. So the stock has been rallying back. It's near highs, but due to the scope of the stock's gains in recent weeks, it really would be nice to see this thing start to drift lower. We talk about this a lot, but it bears repeating. It's possible this could get turned away at the 70 level, and then you get a nice little low volume pullback in preparation for a move over that 71 pivot area. So
Right.
again, good one for the watch list. If this were to kind of just break through 71 and keep on running, this is an example of a stock that would probably go up without me, just because I think a little consolidation is needed at this point. But good
Couldn't
one for
agree
the
more.
watch list, and we'll see if we can build a little handle here and drift lower in light volume.
Yeah, I think so too. Because as we've seen time and again, so many breakouts have struggled. So if you're trying to just buy into strength without having that little bit of a pause or pullback or moving average to really set your risk against and buying as close to that moving average as possible, it's been pretty dangerous waters out there for breakout
Yeah.
stocks.
Yeah, definitely. So it's always good to see, one last shakeout before breakout, and that's what happens when a stock starts to drift lower when it approaches a prior high, like BJ's is doing right now. So maybe we get one little shakeout here. Don't like to see heavy volume when a stock drifts lower, but it seems like this 70 level might be a spot where BJ's could start to pull back a little bit. But don't give up on the stock, because price action like this can often lead to a nice breakout.
All right, we'll have to see if it can deliver. Thank you so much, Ken, for that analysis. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Coming up tomorrow, a lot going on. We have IBD Live on a special guest, Ryan Pierpont. He had back-to-back top 3 finishes in the U.S. Investing Championship in 2020 and 2021. We look forward to welcoming him back to the show. And then coming up, Ken, you and I at noon Eastern, we will be on Barron's Live doing a deep dive into the biotech industry group. I'm pretty excited about that. What about you?
Yeah, I think there's enough biotech stocks to talk about to make for a very interesting Barron's Live. And, we've definitely seen money flowing into biotech. It continues to be a hotbed for merger activity. And I think that that's likely going to continue this year and beyond. So we'll take a look at, some biotechs that maybe are a bit of a rarity, and that they actually have earnings, and they have revenue growth that they're deriving from a key drug, or numerous pipeline drugs. So there's a lot of interesting action in that group, and we'll talk about some of the higher quality names.
Yes, I'm pumped. So make sure you join us, everyone. You can sign up now at barrons.com/live. We'll see you all there, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow to cap off the week. Bye, everyone.